Hey, welcome back to BIZ Talk TV. I'm your host and guide, Michael Rager. I got him. He's here. It's the man, the myth, the legend, Leo Simpson. Leo, how are you today, my friend?
Very well. What an introduction.
That's what I want. It's like I just want to make you smile. That's the best part. All right, man. We're going to talk about something that we all have. It's there. It's everywhere. Problems. 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 You know, it's
Problems.
problems. There's something we got to look at them. And what you're saying today is there's power in your problems, right?
hmm Oh
So
yeah. There's much power in the problems.
So explain, Leo. Come on, I'm telling you, all of our listeners are going, no, 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 but Leo, you don't know my problems.
You know, how we typically look at problems is they are a problem.
Yeah.
We look at them as a nuisance. We look at them as they're just disrupting, they're disengaging us from what we're trying to do, they're distracting, they're frustrating, and all of those things are true. But if you think about it, we talked about that path to being predictably powerful. It really comes down to how we look at our problems that makes a big difference. And the truth is, because we look at our problems as they are just problems rather than they are something of value for us, then we don't really see the power that's actually packed in our problems.
Well, where did this power come from there? You know, because a lot of it comes from solving it, right? You figure out the problem. I tell my clients, find your problems quick and solve them faster. You know.
So there can be power that comes from solving those problems. More so, when we solve the problems, there's a confidence that we
Mm-hmm.
build within the context of being able to solve problems. But the power is there whether we solve it or not, right? And so we've got to consistently take on the right view of problems, which means there's a problem mindset that is a progressive mindset, and then there's a problem mindset that is a regressive, disruptive, disregarding mindset. And we want to talk about that a little bit today, but ultimately, we have to understand how we ultimately approach problems is not advantageous to us. We've got to approach them from the standpoint that first and foremost, we understand there is power in them
Okay.
and we need to know how to get to them
So how do we
or
start
to
that
it.
process? How do we start that process? Because we're going from a way we've kind of quote unquote been trained. Our parents and those that raised us trained us how to look at problems, and however they look at them, we start doing the same thing. So how do we change that mindset and start looking at them the way so we can see the power?
First, you got to understand the problems are not coming to disrupt you. Now, get me wrong, they do bring disruption, they do bring distraction, they do create frustration, all those different things.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got to understand the natural course of life is when you become intentional, disruption and distraction is coming. That's just a natural result. And it goes back to even when you think about some of those laws of energy, every action, there's an equal and opposite
Mm-hmm.
reaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got to have that awareness that within the context of the laws of energy, the laws of physics, the laws of life, there's no way you can actually pursue anything of great value without there being some type of opposing energy. My dad used to say this. He said, how did he put it? Man, it was just in my head. he said, man, anything worth having in life is worth going through something for,
Okay.
right? And so when you start with the right mindset, it starts with you understanding that your problem can be looked at as something that can be disruptive, and it is intending to
Yep.
disrupt you, but really it's designed to be an indicator of growth, indicator of the path you need to take, indicator
Mm-hmm.
of the focus that's more valuable, which means that I love Napoleon Hill's quote, and then I've shared it here before, that every adversity brings with it the seed of an equivalent advantage, which means the power in the problem is already there when the problem comes, which means you've got to work your way through the problem's surface to get to
Yeah.
the core of it. And I always use this analogy of a peach because we like fruit and things of that sort. But I use the peach because the peach seed is one of those large seeds on the inside. And when you eat the fruit of the peach, I'm sure it tastes good, it's sweet, it's fresh, especially if you get one that's nice and firm. It's not too firm, it's not too soft, it's like right in the middle. What happens is you eat through that, and that's only for a limited time for you to enjoy the outer layer of it. When you get inside of it, the potential and the power of it is within the context of that core that allows there to be peaches for life if you actually took that seed and did something with it. That's the same thing with our problems. Our problems really are the surface of the peach. And when we look at the problems as the surface of the peach, nobody's not going to enjoy the peach because it's not the core. No, it's like, this is good. Well, you got to learn to enjoy the problems,
Yeah.
understanding that the problems are the gateway to the power within them.
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know if you saw the beginning of the show where I was talking about. I don't know if you've seen the video. It's a video where a dad goes to his kids and say, "Hey, write me the process to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich."
Mm-hmm.
And you watch them go through that, and you see how frustrated the kids get because the dad's not doing it the way they should, even though they know that he knows. And it's critical thinking. It's critical thinking. And those problems, that's what it allows you to do, at least in my mind when I started talking to my clients. The problem happened for a reason, all right? It was there, like you said, and our actions helped it, I don't want to say manifest, but it show itself. And as we went there, so how do we as business owners now, let's take it from that point of view, as a business owner now, how should we be viewing these problems, and how should we be putting together learning tools? How do we grow because of our problems?
First and foremost, understand that your problems are a congratulation. And that is, if you have no problems, that means you're doing nothing.
Yeah.
And as a business owner, if you're pursuing your vision, your goal, and something is pressing against you, that means you're doing what you're supposed to do. Now, when the problem comes, the problem not only says congratulations, it says, will you commit? And it's a questioning of you to say, will you engage in order to move in the direction that you said you were actually committed to,
Mm-hmm.
right? So every problem is a point that checks you. So it's a congratulation as well as a checkpoint for you to identify if you're really committed to what you said you're going to be committed to. Because here's the truth: you're going to have some problems. And watch this. There was this quote in that I heard in a message that I was looking at, and it talked about the reality behind when we're dealing with things that come against us. It says, the ultimate hack for success in life holistically is to only expect outcomes I desire. That means I must discipline myself to not give any energy to outcomes I don't desire. So when it comes down to it, as a business owner, every time a problem comes, I've got to look at it and say, hey, this problem may not be something I desire, but this problem fits within the context of me getting to what I desire.
Yeah.
So again, you got to see it as a congratulations, and you got to see it as a checkpoint. And when you see them as those two things, and you deal with them and engage with them with tenacity, you position yourself to, no matter what happens, become, as I said in one point in another talk, somewhat of a wizard and how
Yep.
you deal
Yep.
with the problems, because you know when a problem comes, all it's doing is engaging your power that is beyond what you've achieved to this point.
No, that's awesome stuff, Leo. That's awesome. So when people want to, get with you and figure out how to look at their problems the right way, how do they get a hold of you?
Team30.com. Go there, and we got some information that'll get you connected with us. And particularly, you start with that family, business, life mastery
Mm-hmm.
content, and that'll give you a good trajectory in. Also, the podcast that I just had released on Entrepreneurs on Fire, released to over 130 million listeners. Like, you got to start with those two things because, first of all, they're free. You don't even have to pay to get to them. But more than anything, when you pay in the time, energy, and effort to consume that content, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to position yourself to be able to understand how to really be on the trajectory to achieve the mastery in your family life and business life that's going to go into every other area of your life.
Well, that's awesome, Leo. That's what I love. I love when we come here. We always have some good conversations about deep stuff. So that's the important thing we need to do. So thanks a lot, man. Keep pouring out that great stuff, that content online.
Absolutely.
And thanks for coming in here and sharing it with our viewers. All right, I'm
For
Michael
sure.
Ridge, your business guide here on BIZ Talk TV, Now Media Television.